This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The top stories on our desk this evening: former Patriotic Front Secretary General DAVIES MWILA sued for defamation. A LUSAKA bus driver allegedly rapes passenger in the bus. Zambia's Vice President bemoans illegal constructions on top of drainages. In international news, AU Envoy warns Ethiopia talks won't succeed without ceasefire. And in sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO ready for Tuesday's clash with Tunisia.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
The news in detail. Residents of Chivolya compound in Lusaka's Kanyama constituency have expressed concern over the unending criminal activities that have characterized the area. In an interview with Camnet TV, the residents say government should consider intensifying security in the area so as to reduce crime levels. They add that some of the things the government should consider working on is the construction of a health facility, which the area is currently lacking. Meanwhile, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says measures have already been put in place to curb criminal activities in most parts of the country, including Chivolya.
Criminal activities have continued in the central business district of Lusaka. They stretch along Bembela Road, leading to the notorious Chivolya compound. People continue to be victimized by criminal gangs in broad daylight. On the 30th of September 2021, police in Lusaka apprehended 22 people suspected to be behind criminal attacks in the same area. Recently, Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajova ordered that police undertake both physical and motorized patrols to mitigate crime.
Directing all provincial commanders to enhance foot and motorized patrols in their areas of jurisdiction to curb these emerging vices. You may wish to know that I have in particular tasked the paramilitary and traffic officers to intensify patrols in Lusaka's prone crime areas such as the Central Business District, the CBD, and other high-density areas. So
it looks like the situation has not improved, if not worsened, and one wonders if the directive is being upheld as unknown people have continued to attack.
Valiyo mutisa kana ukakwanisa kunga muti yale yakunatire kulumwise kwale kubona kandi musebezi wabona kiufi kuzwa 4 namone nibonera lwakupa kwa muso ona mapokola mu stations kambe baba chincha baba izi kwanu kubaisa kwa kubachincha kujachu kube babanja kuli bulubona pe nibona mbaka sebeza kakuli baba izi mu stations oluziba kibono luizi nibona nisebelezo isali yeswana
ukukani kuti bantu sibaenda mutendeni ulina bagi bakupoka chili chonse chamene uli nacho ukukumbuyo benzopoka chabeba zimungu apa banamba na bakazi elo manje kuja kumalasha pa banambo bapirikisha bangena mkomboni.
Residents say life has been unbearable as they are afraid to undertake certain activities.
Of which to put something on top, because people will be killed and they'll be throwing them into those same drainages. So they should not just expand them, but also they should know what to do. They must cover them. Otherwise, it will be also a weapon, something else to the community.
I engaged police spokesperson Ray Hamonga, who reassured us that measures have been put in place to curb criminal activities in most parts of the country, Chibolya inclusive. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A female resident of Lusaka's Makeni area has reported to the Lusaka Central Police that she was recently attacked by a bus driver in the company of other attackers while boarding a public vehicle from the University Teaching Hospital. Speaking to Camnet TV, the woman who sought confidentiality narrates that while boarding a bus at night recently, she was robbed of her phone by the bus driver and his assistant, who then proceeded to rape her. Meanwhile, Kamala Ward 5 Councillor Mainda Smata has called on the police to work with the relevant authorities and bring the offenders to book.
Majority of Zambians use public transport to conduct their daily activities, be it going for work, taking their children to school, going for their businesses, and conducting general activities. While passengers expect public transport to be safe, two Lusaka residents have narrated a different ordeal as they allege that they were recently attacked by bus drivers. The victims, who requested confidentiality, were speaking to Camnet News Monday in the company of Kamwala Ward 5 Councillor Mr. Mainda Simata after deliberations with the police command at the Lusaka Central Police. The man narrates that he boarded a bus at the University Teaching Hospital UTH to Zingalumi around 19 hours on 5th November 2021 when he was attacked by the bus driver in the company of others and robbed of his belongings.
I got on a bus from UTH going to town, and then just a few minutes after getting on the bus, these guys just attacked me. They strangled me by the neck. They started beating me. There were about 4 to 5 people on the bus, and then when beating me, they started asking for my passwords. They got all my passwords. I had an iPhone. They beat me to get my iCloud password, and they dropped me off at York Farm, Chawama.
The woman alleges that apart from being robbed, she was also raped by her attackers.
I got on a bus from Cosmopolitan Mall, and there were 2 passengers, one in front and one behind. And when we started moving, the conductor just removed a torch and a sharp metal thing and asked me to give him my phone. The guy from the front jumped and started hitting me on my head. They asked for all my passwords, my iCloud passwords, and my Airtel Money password. After that, they drove onto a dash road, and then the conductor and the driver exchanged seats. And the driver told me to take off my trousers, which I did, and he started raping me. And then the other guy was going through my bag, so he saw that I had cards in my bag and shouted, "Silver period, Selusen." That's how the guy stopped raping me and they dropped me off.
Kamwala Ward 5 Councillor Mr. Mainda Simata has called on the police to take swift action.
We've just come from a meeting with the commanding officer of Lusaka Division. This is in regard to 2 cases where some people have been attacked while on the bus by the bus crew. This happened just recently to one of the people who was attacked on a bus on his way from UTH. He was robbed of his phones and he was attacked and was dumped somewhere near Chawama. The other case involves a lady who was also attacked sometime in August. Her phone was stolen and she was even raped. So as civic leaders, this is a matter of concern to us because these things are happening on public transport, and this has raised a lot of fear in commuters because at the end of the day, people do not feel safe boarding these buses. So as civic leaders, as Kamwala Councillor for Ward 5, where some of the victims were picked, I think this is of concern to me, and I've liaised with the police command and they have assured us that they are working on the cases and we hope to see results soon.
Meanwhile, Bus and Taxi Owners Association of Zambia National spokesperson Mr. Amis Daudi has called on passengers to familiarize themselves with features of legal bus operators, stating that many bus drivers engaging in such vices are pirate buses as they cannot be easily traced.
So those are very risky, and although, travelers to watch out and be able to get only 690 registered buses and taxis. That way they guarantee their rights.
The task remains with the police service to ensure that the criminals are nabbed and security assured to commuters. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some Kanyama residents have complained to the Vice President, Mutale Nalumango, that illegal constructions of drainage system on top of drainage system have been leading cause of blockages during the rain season. The residents explained that illegal activities have been reported to the relevant authorities several times, but nothing has been done. And the Vice President says illegal settlements should not be blamed on the owner of the structures, but the authorities as well as those who have been authorizing the constructions in the said areas. Details in this report.
They block this drainage, meaning that must go to no outlet. So muzapanga ma drainages yonse no outlet muzapereka kuti. So this is the main drainage amenita chani ifunika kuipange with immediately before the rainy season, at least here in Kanyama nishitangala ku safe side. Without pange I'm telling you.
These are the complaints made by some residents of Lusaka's Kanyama compound who have for several years been affected by the rains that flood most parts of the area. The residents have complained that the matter has been reported to the authority on several occasions, but that those in authority seem to be working with the people behind the illegal constructions.
So, government bakatika bwati bwati gumule penzolesa bene mamara batenga ndrama batenga ndrama pasa manje bamene ba PF ba defender pamalo as a result bantu bamkombo nje bavutika. So since apa kwa new government at least baona ba vice president baona kutapa pa problem bene mamara bakumkochosa malo hazo tu bantu bankale mu safe side na manzi chifwa mvula ntame ya mvula pa ya bwela. So tifuna se drainage utinkarekiria mushe sifuna kuisha district kumangira manyumba mu drainage.
And Vice President Mutalena Lumango Monday took time to visit Kanyama compound to establish what the problem is with regards to flooding challenges and why the construction of proper drainage systems have delayed in the area.
None of us should feel so innocent. Those that build in wrong places, some build with the council support by giving them plots in wrong places, including business entities. That is the beginning. Another sad part is that this situation has not just started. Some buildings, Honorable, were built right where there were floods even before building.
Among other things, it has been established that the illegal constructions have been the leading cause to most floodings, as some residents have built on top of the drainage system, causing the water to divert into residential homes. This development has saddened the Vice President, who has since directed that an assessment be made and then later estimate the cost that will be involved in drilling proper drainage systems that will bring to an end floodings in the area.
And therefore, today, we feel sorry as a government to year in, year out experience floods. And this is why I'm encouraging colleagues who are permanent workers in government. I hope you understand. Politicians come and they go. That's why when I'm talking to these who work there, they should help to have a kind of permanent plan that should deal with this. And today we have gone around just to see. We can't say we have found a solution, but we are looking at working together, including the people that live in flood-prone areas.
And representatives from the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, have promised that works can be completed within a period of 10 weeks if funds are made available. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
President Hakainde Hichilema says there is need to ensure that the African Free Trade Area is meaningful to all people across Africa through inclusive economic growth, job and business opportunities in individual countries. Speaking at the official opening of the second Intra-Africa Trade Fair being held in Durban, South Africa, the head of state says if this is not achieved, it will be difficult to sustain the free trade area. The president says Zambia is committed to enhancing intra-Africa trade, as evidenced by the representatives from Zambia attending the fair. He says trade is a tool that will create wealth and lift many African citizens out of poverty.
Ensure that the African Free Trade Area is meaningful to all our people across Africa. Meaningful for inclusive economic growth, jobs, and business opportunities in our individual countries. because if we don't achieve that, it will be difficult to sustain the free trade area. Benefits must be seen by our people in the individual countries. Trade is an important tool for economic growth in our nations as a prerequisite for development in our countries, on our continent, as I've said. It is a tool that will create wealth and lift many of our citizens out of poverty on a continent as rich as ours. Zambia is committed to enhancing intra-Africa trade, and this is evidenced by the presence of the political leaders, government leaders here today, and our business community. Your Excellencies, there is enormous potential for trade and investment amongst us Africans, before we think of other continents. It is important that we see the value of working together as a continent, as a people, as businesses. Our countries are endowed with natural resources which can be used to create sustainable regional value chains to grow our economies. We must move beyond the overstated story of our potential and move towards actualization of this potential.
The Auditor General's report has indicated that the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation had paid an advance of 140,000 kwacha to a named company for the drilling of 17 boreholes in Chiwambo District, Central Province, which have not yet been drilled. Speaking at the Public Accounts Committee, nominated Member of Parliament Likando Mfalali demanded an explanation from the ministry as to why only 2 boreholes have been drilled when resources were paid. But in response, Ministry Permanent Secretary Mavuto Sakala says efforts are being made to ensure that the resources are recovered and that another contractor will be engaged in due course.
MAPCAP exists, or it's just an individual who doesn't even have equipment. Because out of 17 boreholes that were supposed to be done, only 2, and he didn't even put anything on it. This is a clear indication to you that these things were already bad, but what was informing you to release this amount of money, 140,000, to an organization, one which guarantees already expired at the time maybe they were even paying. So what was really informing you to pay the 140,000 from the ministry, and yet you didn't have the document?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very quick. I'll ask my Director of Planning to answer the other one. Water supply. With respect to how we intend to proceed, Chair, we have an oversight committee chaired by Secretary of the Cabinet that helps us with the issues such as this one, where it involves other institutions that we're not getting the necessary cooperation. It has been very helpful, Chair, I want to acknowledge, and the number of these queries has fallen as a consequence because we are summoned as controlling officers where we are asked to resolve this issue timely. So that oversight committee has helped us a lot, and we have been appealing to the Secretary to the Cabinet in most cases when we have such challenges. Unfortunately, this one could not be resolved in time before we came to pack, and we apologize for that. Why Auditor General observing this? Again, it's another internal issue which is receiving active attention. You will not share that we only have 3 auditors in our ministry despite having a larger establishment. We've written to increase the number of auditors in our institutions. If you have 3 auditors, you have got 7 utility companies across the country. You have headquarters, you have WAMA, you have NOASCO. They're not able to manage. So we need to beef up our staff, and we're hoping that we can be assisted in that manner. It's receiving active attention. Otherwise, as rightly pointed out, this should have been picked up even before the Auditor General picked it up, if we had adequate capacity in terms of numbers to undertake regular auditing.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, working with the Ministry of Technology and Science, has constituted a team of experts to conduct an audit at the Ministry of Lands aimed at correcting irregularities incurred during the previous administration. The Ministry of Lands is said to have faced with many scandals during the previous administration, with alleged political cadres being illegally allocated land based on political affiliation. Meanwhile, Minister of Technology and Science Felix Mutati says the ministry will come in and ensure that technology is used to keep a record of happenings in government ministries and other key public institutions.
Zambia has been facing many land wrangles in the recent years From alleged illegal allocation of land based on political affiliation to reports of land encroachment by alleged political party cadres. Upon entry into office under the new administration, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Mr. Elijah Muchima said the data system at the ministry was not secure as it had room for manipulation. The minister has, however, assured the Zambian people of sanity under the new administration. He says, working with the Ministry of Technology and Science, the ministry has tasked a team of experts to ensure that an audit of previous happenings is conducted at the ministry and a report made within 10 days. The ministers were addressing the team of experts Monday.
Lands. There's been rampant corruption. The ZAMBIA'S system became corrupt as well. Nobody could trust it. This issue has been historical, even the days of President Manawasa. The New Dawn government, in trying to make progress, wants all people, all stakeholders to be involved in finding a permanent solution, and that permanent solution should be found with participation of all people at hand.
Minister of Technology and Science Mr. Felix Mutati says the ministry will use technology to combat illegalities in other ministries and key government institutions.
Within this group, we are convinced we have the capacity to be able to undertake this exercise. So we're going to undertake a thorough audit of where we are in terms of the system and what we need to do going forward. So we have constituted you as a technical working group to audit and recommend to government within 10 days what we should do going forward at the Ministry of Lands.
The new administration has promised professionalism and citizens are waiting to see what the audit will reveal. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Munali Constituency Member of Parliament Mike Mposha has underscored the need for all government projects to be tendered at the right price. Speaking when he handed over a classroom block at Kalingalinga Primary School that was rehabilitated at a total cost of 170,000 kwacha, Mr. Mposha says prudent use of funds is at the core of the UPND administration's agenda. The lawmaker, who is also Water Development and Sanitation Minister, says the increase in Constituency Development Fund from 1.6 to 25.7 million kwacha should not be abused, adding that he will ensure that the resources benefit the intended people. Meanwhile, Mr. Mposha also took time to check on other classes at the school.
When you are given the cost of the project, it's quite alarming for a kind of work that we have to witness in the many projects. So I want to use this opportunity to caution that the people who are going to work with me in the Munali CDF, both from the council, our technocrats from the council, and also those who have been appointed from the community, that I shall not condone shortcomings as a result of inflating the cost of the projects, because this is where we've had a lot of weaknesses. Many projects, not only under CDF, but many government projects in the past have been inflated, and there have been connivance of pushing in variations and making these government projects extremely costly. This is money for the people. This is money which has to be retained to the people through various projects. And my appeal to those who are going to work with me in the Munali constituency is that I'm setting the tone here, and the President has been talking about a number of benchmarks, and the three among the many benchmarks we've set for ourselves as the New Dawn government are issues to do with quality when it comes to these projects. Issues to do with the correct cost of these projects. Meaning, when we tender, we advertise the tender, we expect those who are tendering not to connive with our officials and begin to inflate the cost of the projects, but to tender at a right price and deliver at a right price.
An environmental activist, Timothy Perry, has called for an aggressive approach in dealing with single-use plastic bags, stating that these have an adverse impact on the environment as they take years to degrade, while observing government's efforts to ensure that chain stores use biodegradable plastics, among other efforts. He says single-use plastics still remains the most common packaging material used in Zambia, hence rendering strides made ineffective. He says that Zambia's environment is under threat and the responsibility is on the new administration to ensure that the environment is safeguarded for future generations.
And you notice the plastic waste is a huge problem with our drainage systems. And during the rainy season, you understand the implication of that. It means water does not flow properly through the drainage. Then you have wildlife and farm animals also eating this same plastic. So it's a real threat. So the challenge now for us is, how do we solve this problem? My opinion is banning plastic of a certain width alone is not enough. Charging people to buy plastic instead of getting it for free in shops is also not enough. What you need is a complete ban on single-use plastic. That is something we can do, and it's something that's really going to make a difference. Because clearly what we've tried to do so far is not working. We've not seen a reduction in the quantities of littering. We've not seen a reduction in the quantities of plastic being generated and being taken to our landfill. So we need to ban single-use plastic. That's the way for us to go.
Still on news to do with the environment. Now, with limited employment opportunities in Zambia, young people in Lusaka have started reusing plastics into other value-added products to earn a living and help conserve the environment. A group of young people from Lusaka's Bauleni compound have been able to demonstrate that plastic waste is money when creativity is applied. And the Civic Forum on Housing and Habitat in Zambia Executive Director Grace Mtonga has called on government to empower young people in the recycling industry. Patrick Soko has the details on this story.
Plastic pollution is a contributor to climate change. Plastic is one of the most persistent pollutants on Earth. It's made to last, and it does often for 400 years or more. At every step in its life cycle, even long after it has been discarded, plastic creates greenhouse gas emissions that are contributing to global warming. Plastic pollution is something Zambia has been grappling with, and the Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA and its partners have been promoting the concept of reduce, reuse and recycle, commonly called the 3 R's of waste management. This waste hierarchy is the guidance suggested for creating sustainable life. In Matelo constituency, a group of young people is turning plastic into durable fashion bags.
Into communities, especially in Matero. So we sensitize the women there about the importance of taking care of the environment, and then we train them on how to make these upcycled handbags, how to make these. So once we train them, we've educated them about the importance of taking care of the environment. We ask them if we can collect the plastics from their households, the plastics that they've used. They're different sizes. This one is like 400 kwacha, and this one is 300.
And in Lusaka's Bauleni compound, in Lusaka Central constituency, young people continue to discover ways to reuse plastic. They produce a number of things, such as earrings from discarded plastic to conserve the environment. They have been able to extend training to other youths.
And we're coming up with this creativity, like helping out in reducing waste. And the only way we can do that is to come up with certain arts and crafts that will make people understand that we cannot only use the plastics. Like
we use it, we throw away, but we can also come up with certain brilliant ideas that we can display in our homes and any other places. So this is one thing I would love to encourage my fellow youths out there, that we shouldn't downgrade ourselves, or rather downgrade the things that we see in our communities. Rather than staying, evolving ourselves into different activities in the community, like drinking, smoking, and any other activities, early marriages, so we can do that, we can do it.
The Civic Forum on Housing and Habitat has been supporting the group in Bauleni. Grace Mtonga is the organization's executive director.
Get our youths off the streets. We also want to get our youths from non-productive activities. So we are trying to encourage our youths to make sure that they try to recycle the plastic waste. So as you can see, we try to also encourage them to be innovative. So they make the earrings, they make several artifacts, they make the beans, which they resell, and they have a stable income.
This journalist spoke to Center for Zero Waste and Development Chief Executive Officer Billy Lombe.
The studies show that, according to our latest studies, show that more jobs are created when you take waste to recycling companies and through those means that I mentioned, than when you take waste to the dump site or burn it. So we're against burning of waste, we're against incineration in Africa and in Zambia.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry. There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator, and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed, and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
On Monday, 15th November 2021 on National Matters,
Join Dr. Luwinda Habazoka as he hosts Brian Mundubile, the leader of the opposition and former government chief whip.
Yeah, so it's a rebranding process. It's a normal process in my view. You know, when you go through a defeat like we did, with that dismal performance, you want to really investigate what transpired. You want to set up a team that will go and do a post-mortem.
At exactly 20:45 hours, as they discuss the role of the opposition, economic governance and democracy in Zambia. Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. Government is impressed with the progress made on the construction of the Kenneth Kaunda International Conference Center, which is at 70% completion phase. Foreign Affairs and International Relations Minister Stanley Kakuba says the facility will enable Zambia host the upcoming 2022 African Union Summit and other mega conferences. The 2,500 capacity multi-facility conference is scheduled to be completed by March 2022. The minister was speaking when he toured the construction site situated at Molongoshi International Conference Center.
Following Zambia's selection to host the 2022 African Union Heads of State Summit, government in 2020 through the Chinese government grant embarked on the construction of the Kenneth Kaunda International Conference Center as the venue for the summit. A Chinese company, China Jiangsu International, was selected to construct a state-of-the-art multi-facility center in Lusaka, which has reached 70% completion phase and expected to be completed by March 2022. During the tour on Monday, Foreign Affairs and International Relations Minister Stanley Kakubo has noted that the facility will largely contribute to Zambian economy given its capacity and strategic location.
Your Excellency, this project for us is strategic for many reasons. Our ability to boost our ability to host the next AU meeting in the second half of 2022. But of course, there will be other benefits that come with it. It boosts our ability to host more events beyond that. And we're looking forward to the dates that have been put in place in order for us to ensure that the preparations are on course. And this event, I think, adds to that preparation.
Mr. Kakuwa has thanked the Chinese government for such a gift and commends effort to strengthening the existing relationship between the two governments.
Zambia and China continue to collaborate on the economic front. There are a number of Chinese projects that the economy of Zambia is leveraging on in this country. Yes, and amongst a lot of things that China continues to collaborate with Zambia is the issues of health that you already mentioned. And I also want to take this opportunity to pass our profound appreciation to your government for this support, for the support of COVID. Recently we received 1 million doses of COVID vaccine that is on its way. We received that offer from China, and again this speaks to our long friendship.
And Chinese ambassador to Zambia, Lin Ji, has urged contractors to finish on time and assured his commitment to provide technical support to Zambian government on this project.
We would like to see that this project would be a project with high quality to represent the level of construction standard of your company and also of China, so that this would be a good example, a good piece of work, not only for 5 years, but for the next 20 years and 30 years. it will be here as a landmark of conference facility for Zambia, for Africa, and for China-Africa cooperation. And I think I do have confidence in that, because in the whole process of the construction, we have the supervision, technical supervision from professional institutions.
Meanwhile, Mulungoshi Conference Center General Manager Tando Sibanda is optimistic that the facility will not only play a key role in hosting events, but also in the tourism sector.
This is creation of employment. I mean, you can see how vast it is in terms of the amount of space that is actually there. It comes with a lot of breakaway rooms, state-of-the-art equipment. I mean, talk about the security features that have actually been put here. I'm also reliably informed that the building, I think upon completion, if I'm correct, is running for an international award. This is based on the quality of work that has been put in the facility itself here. So I'll leave maybe some of my colleagues who will be able to add other issues there, but I think us as Mulungoshi International Conference, we already started engaging with the Ministry of Tourism in terms of how do we put a facility like this into international market. So we're looking at our strategic plan that was done in 2021 to 2025.
The 23.9 square meters conference is to accommodate 2,500 seaters in the main conference, while having other medium halls within the facility. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
In other news, the state has asked the Constitutional Court to grant an application filed by the United Party for National Development Media Committee member Joseph Busenga to remove Section 97(2) from the electoral law, which states that the elections can be held valid despite being marred by violence or other illegal practices as long as they are not personally committed by the candidate. In an answer filed before court, the Attorney General Chambers states that there was an inconsistency in Section 97(2)(a) of the Electoral Process Act because the section promotes illegal practices and misconduct, which Article 45 of the Constitution discourages. Miriam Kaimba filed this report.
The petition, in which UPND committee member Joseph Busenga is seeking an order that Section 97(2)(a) of the Electoral Process Act, number 35 of 2016, be removed from the Electoral Process Act, has received a backing from the state, with the state urging the Constitutional Court to allow the application by the petitioner, which seeks the removal of the said section. The said Article 97(2)(a) of the Electoral Process Act states that an election marred by violence, intimidation and corruption can still be held to be valid as long as the corrupt or illegal practices which were committed during an elections are not personally committed by the candidate. However, Mr. Busenga argues that the provision of the section does not seek to promote the said values, but instead promotes, aids and abides corrupt practices while safeguarding undemocratic elected public officials. Further, his argument is that whereas Article 45 (2)(a) makes a mandatory guideline that the electoral process and system of administering elections should ensure they are free and fair, Section 97(2)(a) basically provides that an election that is marred by corrupt practices, illegal practices, or other practices can still be held to be valid and be regarded as free and fair as long as the said practices were not committed by the candidate or by his election or polling agent. Mr. Busenga has cited the Attorney General as the respondent in the matter. He wants the Constitutional Court to declare an order that the said section is inconsistent and contravenes the country's constitution, further be declared null and void. He wants the hearing of this petition to be expedited in line with the recent judicial precedent, as it has a bearing on the ongoing petition before the High Court. In responding to his argument, the Attorney General's Chamber states that Article 45(2) of the Constitution does not provide for a mandatory guideline that the system of administering section shall be free and fair and free from violence, intimidation and corruption, and further that there was an inconsistency in Section 97(2)(a) of the Electoral Process Act because the section promotes illegal practices and misconduct, which Article 45 of the Constitution discourages. The state has also argued that the standard required to nullify an election is practically impossible to achieve, which is contrary to democratic principles of the country. Hearing of the petition continues before court. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Ministry of Justice Permanent Secretary Andrew Nkonika and his wife Towani Nkonika have sued Patriotic Front Secretary General Davies MWILA in the Lusaka High Court, demanding 10 million kwacha as damages for defamation. The two plaintiffs who have sued Mr. MWILA in his capacity as SG for the Patriotic Front Party have alleged in their statement of claim that a defamatory message was posted on the Facebook page for the Patriotic Front. They love or guilt. Ministry of Justice Permanent Secretary Andrew Nkonika has continued to post ridiculous love posts dedicated to his new wife on Facebook. They have submitted that the said message meant that they had done something wrong, hence injured their reputation. Mr. Nkonika and his wife are also seeking an order restraining the defendant from making such statements about them. Still in court, the Lusaka Magistrate Court has set 29th November 2021 as date to hear the case in which former Zambia Railways Limited Chief Executive Officer Professor Muyenga Atanga and 5 others are accused of stealing 2006 colts costing 270,500 kwacha. When the matter came up before court Monday morning, the state applied that the matter be adjourned because the arresting officer in the matter was on bed rest and unable to come to court. Professor Atanga, who is the husband to Bridget Atanga, the Secretary General to the Akafumba-led NDC faction, is facing 1 count of theft contrary to the laws of Zambia. Miriam Kayamba once again filed this report.
It has been more than 3 months that former Zambia Railways Limited Chief Executive Officer Professor Atanga has been appearing before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court on a theft allegation charge. Despite appearing before court for quite some time, Professor Atanga and 5 others that is jointly charged with have not commenced with trial in their case or even taken plea. Professor Atanga, who is the husband to Bridget Atanga, the Secretary General for the Akafumba-led NDC faction, has been dragged to court on allegation that he and 5 others stole 2006 goats from a Mr. Mwanga Kanyama, costing 277,500 kwacha. The accused, who is also the Executive Director at City University of Science and Technology, has been jointly charged with Lian Musenje, a farm supervisor of Chisamba, Sylvan Mkonka, a farm shepherd, Thomas Kapezia, a livestock technician of Kawe, Jedrick Mwende, a manager, and Joseph Sichimba, with 1 count of stock theft, contrary to Section 275(1) of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. Monday morning, when the accused appeared before Magistrate Sanford Ngobola, they were told to appear before court on the 29th of this month for their possible plea and return of bench warrant for one of the accused persons whose bail was revoked. Their early adjournment came after the state informed the court that the arresting officer in the matter was unwell and not able to appear before court. The accused persons had failed to take plea previously because their charge sheet needed to be amended, and in the recent session, an application to amend the same was made. If the accused persons deny the charge on the 29th of November 2021 when they appear before court, the court will proceed with trial. Miriam Kayamba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, the Disability Rights Watch has urged the government to increase allocations to programs for persons with disability in the subsequent national budget. Organization National Coordinator Bruce Ijoma has backed the statement issued by Chawama lawmaker Tasila Mwansa in Parliament, who urged the government to pay attention to persons with cross-cutting disabilities. Mr. Joma says the New Dawn government must take keen interest in the debates surrounding the 2022 national budget and take appropriate measures. Mr. Joma has underscored the need to mainstream disabilities across all ministries and other sectors in view of making progress in advancing the rights of persons with disability in Zambia.
We want to urge the New Dawn administration of UPND to take keen interest in the debate on the floor of the House regarding the budget allocation to persons with disabilities in the 2022 proposed national budget. We agree with Honorable Tasira Lungu Mwansa that there is need to increase funding towards programs aimed at addressing the plight of persons with disabilities. We note with interest and gratitude that government has proposed to increase the cash transfer value for people with disabilities, but we feel that this program is only a small component of social protection. What we want to see is an enhanced allocation to the persons, Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, and to line ministries to include people with disabilities in all their programs and activities. So it's important that the budget allocation towards persons with disabilities and their programs needs to be significantly scaled up in the coming budgets so that we can see an improvement in their quality of life and also an improvement in terms of their human rights situation.
You're still watching Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. When we return, we have sports and international news. Stay with us.
Spirit of infirmity never had a legal right in here anymore because she was healed in her soul. He also took care of that accusation in the court where he said, I loose you, and that means to acquit someone of a crime.
Why does he say, be strong and be courageous, Bamutale? Number one, you've got to be strong. You've got to be courageous when claiming the things that belong to you.
If you're up against principalities and powers,
en contra de
and Satan
principados,
is knocking you around,
y el enemigo te está dando contra ti,
put praise on in your car.
pon alabanza.
Put praise on.
So we must learn to depend on the Holy Spirit to tell us what these things are and what's the next thing and what the church ought to be doing rather than conform to everything that is going on.
He says you're blessed. He says flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father.
He will preach the gospel with great power and influence, I say, even to the nations of the earth. And I began to prophesy his destiny. As I did that, the Spirit of the Lord said, now rebuke the spirit of depression.
The mystery of your unfulfilled prophecy is found in what I'm saying today, if you hear what the Spirit is saying, because the King is speaking.
That everything that God has given you will flourish because you have his mind like never before, in Jesus' mighty precious name.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all three tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lesotho, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed, and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. The former Nigerian president is leading an international push to end the conflict that has cost thousands of lives and displaced 2 million people as fears of rebel march on the Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa prompts a flurry of diplomatic activities. In other news, African leaders, financiers and business people met at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Durban, South Africa to discuss solutions and challenges facing intra-Africa trade. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the session. Here's a roundup of international stories.
Israelis from the Ethiopian community staged a march outside the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem, demanding that the country rescue their relatives trapped by fighting in Ethiopia. They held photographs of their relatives, demanding for rescue flights to take them out of the country. Several countries have issued travel advisories to Ethiopia, as well as warning their citizens to leave the country, citing increased fighting between government forces and TPLF rebels. But no country has organized rescue flights yet. The African Union's Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Olusegun Obasanjo, said Sunday in a statement that an immediate ceasefire was necessary to get the warring sides to start dialogue.
The Constitutional Court of the Democratic Republic of Congo has ruled that it has no jurisdiction to try former Prime Minister Augustin Matata on charges of embezzlement of public funds. The court in Kinshasa gave the ruling on Monday, leaving it to other judges. In the DRC, the Constitutional Court is the criminal judge of the President of the Republic, and the Prime Minister, Augustin Matata Ponyo's lawyers had pleaded the Constitutional Court's incompetence during the hearing on November 8, pointing out that their client, who was Prime Minister from 2012 to 2016 under the regime of former President Joseph Kabila, had not been in office for several years. As a senator, Mr. Matata should be referred to the Court of Cassation, which has jurisdiction over parliamentarians, according to his lawyers. The former head of government is being prosecuted alongside Patrice Kitebi, former Minister of Finance at the time of the event, and the South African national, Grobler Christo. All three are suspected of embezzling more than $200 million in public funds intended for the Bukanga Lonzo Agro-Industrial Park, 250 kilometers southeast of Kinshasa.
It is by harnessing all our capabilities, both existing and emerging, that we will accelerate our continent's economic growth and integrated development. It is our expectation that this trade fair will further cement its position as Africa's premier trade platform, where African manufacturers and producers can promote and sell more goods labeled Made in Africa. I think many of us long to see that wonderful and golden label where we will see Made in Africa, not made anywhere else in the world. This is critical if we are to change the distorted trade relationship that exists between African countries and the rest of the world.
We now look at sports news. The CHIPOLOPOLO boys got down to work in Tunis hours after setting up base ahead of tomorrow's Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Qatar Eagles. Coach Beston Chambeshi and technical advisor Asonavik led the squad through an evening drill at Maeza Sports Complex. The players looked jolly under the wash of a mild drizzle as they shook off the strain of the long flight into Tunis. Zambia plays Tunisia at the Stade Hamadi Agriba on Tuesday evening in a 20 hours, which is 21 hours CET kickoff. The CHIPOLOPOLO boys are laying third in the group with 7 points, while Tunisia and Equatorial Guinea are on 10 points, with the Qatar Eagles enjoying a healthier goal difference. Zambia came into this game on the back of 4-0, dubbing the Mauritania, while Tunisia lost 1-0 away to Equatorial Guinea. Only one team from the group will qualify to the final knockout stage, which will have 10 teams that will be paired against each other. The 5 winners in the final qualifying round will represent Africa at the Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup. We wish the boys well as they take on Tunisia tomorrow. That's all we had for you on the desk this evening. The headlines once again. Former Patriotic Front Secretary General Davies MWILA sued for defamation. A Lusaka bus driver allegedly rapes a passenger on the bus. Zambia's Vice President bemoans illegal construction on top of drainages. In international news, AU envoy warns Ethiopia talks won't succeed without ceasefire. And in sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO ready for Tuesday's clash with Tunisia. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from Isaiah 6 verse 8, and it reads, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Who should I send? Who will go for us? I said, Here I am, send me." Well, thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night.